Hey everybody, if you have not seen my energy forecast for this week, July 21st, 2025, make sure you go back and watch that first before you watch this video. It'll give you a backdrop of the energies that are going on, which will help make this psychic notes a whole lot more sense. It'll help you put the picture together of the longer backdrop that's going on. And in the energy forecast, I had some markers that I did not go into. We're going to go into them here right out of the gate. So let me flip the camera around and let's go ahead and take a look at the graph. So I am recording right here on Sunday the 20th, and we're taking a look at this full week. Now, if you recall, Spirit Team said we would be in an intensity of energy and events running all the way through these two dates, that marker there, the 4th, all the way up to the 18th. And I had highlighted that the 14th of July was a pretty big day. Well, what's really interesting that happened, and we're just going to tally through these changes, and so you can track what you experienced and where you are at. And I would love if you want to weigh in on this. A lot of you have already been sharing your commentary of what you've been experiencing. But on the 14th, we had a major shift that felt like a huge relief, like a lot of weight came off. It was like we shifted out of something. The very next day, we had new earth energies coming in. Now, I experienced the new earth energies on Tuesday, Wednesday. You could also call these ascension energies or 5D energies or source energies, whatever your languaging there is, that's what we're talking about. Now, I experienced these energies on Tuesday and Wednesday. I did notice in the comments that a lot of people were experiencing them sometimes on Wednesday and Thursday, a few people into Friday. So we had a whole window of new earth type of energies going on this week after we did that shift. Real interesting. Now, once we got through these new earth energies, and my spirit team came in and said, okay, your calibrations are done. They pretty much let me know. And then after that, then Friday and Saturday, we've been like, boom, boom. We've hit some really big energies there. And that has been bumped up against a 5th layer timeline, like pretty much a gateway kind of thing. Now, I've got the timeline jump noted for Sunday, but I definitely felt it on the 19th. So we're in a window of these energies. Now, I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to talk about the shift that happened on Friday and on Saturday. But before we do, I also want to put up the imaging on the Schumann's resonance, so you can see visually some of the things that were going on. Now, at the end of this new earth energy, almost kind of like we had completed it, Aaron Brown picked up on the Schumann's earth resonance. Oh my God, I want to cry. So there was a lot of energy in it. Aaron Brown picked up on the Schumann's resonance, a formation that she hadn't really seen before. And it literally was like a wall. And I will try and put it up here and put it so that my pen is highlighting it, but literally it was like a blast of light, but the front end of it was a complete and total wall. And if you saw the gate, if you saw the graph before, it was like almost like completely blank. So we were in something brand new. We walked through a threshold that you could see visually in the vibration, and we came into a new space. I'm also going to put up all of July's Schumann resonance so you can see the rhythm going on and the activity going on. This July, we have started having Schumann's resonance activity that we haven't had in quite a few months. So we're getting bumped up in vibration, definitely. All right, so I'm going to flip the camera around so we can talk about these 2 days, Friday and Saturday. Okay, so on Friday and Saturday, after we came out of those new earth energies, and I could feel the calibrations really kind of coming to a close. On Friday morning, pretty much out of the gate, like this was like me in meditation and then coming into my desk to write down a few notes. Spirit Team boomed, and I mean boomed. They said, it's all beginning to take place now. We haven't had that big boom of energy for a while in messaging. Well, it was pretty much there on Friday morning. It was basically like you did the shift on Monday, like you did all your work and everything, and you shifted through on Monday, and then we did all of those calibrations with you in that new earthy kind of place. Like you were in a brand new place. You walked through it, and then boom, Friday's the new place. Friday's a new place. You could feel that. There was like, to me, to me, there was like a lot of cosmic, big, moving energy on Friday, like it's beginning to happen now. Like it was a feeling of like, you've set it all up, collective consciousness around the globe. You've set it all up. It's beginning to happen now. So that was Friday. And then Saturday, yesterday, I got up in the morning and there was a feeling of like, whoa, there's no going back. Like there was a feeling of like, oh, it's all set in motion. Like die is cast. Like that was the feeling that I have. Die is cast. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen now. And nobody can really do anything about it because all of us around the globe who have been working on higher vibrations and consciousness and love energy and light energy in whatever way or shape or form that takes for you, we've been working on this for a very long time and we've reached that, tipping point, that moving over the edge point. Well, that now has its own energy, has its own momentum in its very own way that it has never had before. It's kind of like, to me, it's like, you put a snowball at the top of a hill with really wet snow and you give it a nudge and it starts to roll and it gets bigger and it picks up momentum, and it gets bigger and picks up more momentum, kind of like that. That's what it kind of feels and looks like to me, except with the light field. It's kind of like, oh my God, somebody let the genie out of the bottle and things are going to start happening now. Then on the flip side of it, the shadow world side of it, I had a feeling yesterday, all day yesterday, Saturday, of like, those edges that have felt like, ooh, a little bit of unravel there, a little bit of unravel there. It's kind of like the layers are going to start getting peeled back a little bit more and a little bit more. And then it's going to reach a point where it just, and it just happens. And I get the feeling that August is pretty much a get out of the way and get on your surfboard and take the ride. Because everything that we've worked so hard for and everything that's been set in motion, it's just going to happen. And I don't get the feeling that there's a whole lot of like work involved because we already did the work. So I just want you all to know, remember last week when Spirit Team said, this is the turning point of lifetimes, massive change, and they basically said that like last week, this past week that we did was what we did this past week, put things in place to set things in motion that we're never going to come back from. Like Spirit Team said to us last week was a life-changing week of all life-changing weeks. I am beginning to believe them because what we put into place last week in a very subtle but powerful way, very nonverbal. It was not in the headline. It was all in the energy. It was all in the energy matrix. You can see some of the edges of it going on in the headlines. You can definitely feel the energy and Earth. Oh my God, woof, like Earth weighed in on all of it. And by the time we got through it, like especially on Friday, there was a feeling of like, oh. It's going to start to happen now. It's going to start to happen now. So I just want to let you all know that we did that last week. We anchored that in. And now we're going to be turning. We're going to be turning and looking and beginning to do. We've got this last week of July, which is cathartic. And here's my cowgirl routine. It is definitely a cowgirl up kind of week, right? So as we move through the rest of July, just know that as we head into August, things are already set in motion. Things are already set in motion that we don't even know about at this point that are going to begin to happen. Also remember the timeline jump. Remember that March 1st, 2025 timeline jump and the channel that came through on it, the Spirit Team gave to me. And they basically said from March 1st to August 1st, it is going to feel like you're not going anywhere. It is going to feel like you are on a slow burn in shadow world. It's going to feel nasty. And what you need to know is you're doing all of this foundational gut level kind of work from March 1st to August 1st. But then when you hit August 1st, all begins to change. And I'll be talking about this in my energy forecast, and I think I'm going to go ahead and release a big timeline jumping forecast for like 3 months so we can all see the lay of the landscape. I mean, I'm learning how like there's all these different layers and the percentages of how intensely they come in and then what other timelines they're connected to. So there's this whole thing going on with that, but I got to tell you that August 1st window, we begin to hit that. It begins to move. So I just want to let you know it begins to move, and we need to be ready for that. Now, we've been talking about the energies on this. Let's get to some headlines. I want to get to some headlines that feel like the first few drops. You know, they feel like the first few drops of things beginning to happen a little bit, and I want to bring these to you just to give you an idea of like, beginning of the first few drops and a few unravels showing up. So let's take a look at these. So first, it's being reported that the Heritage co-founder and co-writer, remember Project 2025, that is this whole nasty thing going on, Heritage co-founder and co-writer Edwin Fuellner, I don't know how to say his last name, Edwin Fuellner, he died on July 18th, 2025 at the age of 83. So we are beginning to see another crack in the wall, and somebody who had anchored in that really nasty energy, he's going off planet now. That is a bit of the unraveling. That is a bit of foreshadowing. Next, and Spirit Team does not want me fixating on this, but I at least need to bring it up. Right around the same time that the information, the headline about Edwin crossing over, Project 2025 guy, a little bit of crack in the foundation, right around the time that that was happening, I was driving around in Yakima doing some errands. There's this one intersection, I swear to God, I get to this intersection and always I get like major information right there. I need to start driving to that intersection once a week in front of the stoplight and go, hey, God, drop me a message from the sky here, because it happened there again. But anyway, I'm sitting at the light at this particular intersection, and all of a sudden, like this vortex opened up, I swear to God, and it was like DT was sitting in the car next to me. It was weird. It was creepy. And here's what happened. Usually when DT's energy has shown up in my space, it's always about him looking to do something or take something or get something or make something nasty happen. Like there's always this ulterior motive energy going on with him when he shows up. Not this time. And this threw me off. So he shows up, I can feel him, I can see his face floating around, and all I can hear out of him are the echoes of, help, help, I'm in too much pain, I don't want to be here anymore. And boy, did that just tilt my world. The light goes green, I gotta get turned and keep on driving. But there was this feeling, there was this energy of DT really being in this painful, helpless, I can't do this anymore, I don't want to do this anymore kind of place. I'm ready to leave the planet. I've never picked up on that from him. Never, not an ounce of that. And it came through clear as day, light as day. Well, few hours later, when I was at home scrolling through some TikTok, I saw the Edwin thing, that this is all coming to light. And that's when I saw some health TikToks about DT. And I'm like, oh my God, this makes sense. And this makes sense. I haven't really told you guys because I don't want to do dates or put too much energy on it, create too much expectation. But the last couple of weeks, I've had this echo feeling of wow, he's not long for the world. He's not long for being here. And I go look at pictures of him on the internet. And I'm like, ooh, he wasn't doing well before. He's really not doing well now. And some medical professionals coming on to TikTok going I see this symptom. I've heard about this medication. I see this symptom. And it's all stacking up as some collective health issues that his system is really beginning to disintegrate at this point. I don't want to put a timeline on it because I don't want to give us any expectations, but what I can report is he's at a tipping point of really not doing well. And I find this is so fascinating that it's right at the confluence of these energies that we completed this past week. We completed these energies this past week, and all of a sudden Edwin is gone and DT is really not doing well. And so that's where I want to give you guys this heads up of like, we really are at a tipping point. We're really at a turning point. We're really at this place where things could begin to change pretty fast, and we need to be ready for that. Now, this next piece of information, I really don't want to talk about, but I can feel my spirit team like goosing me. They're like, Dana, you got to prime the pump because the information is going to start rolling pretty fast. So after all of this happened, you know, energies, these headlines, the DT health thing, then later last night, there's this other pieces of information beginning to trickle in about J.D. Vance. And hey, you know, hearsay about like J.D. Vance went to Montana, met with Murdoch, owner of Fox News. And there's kind of these echoes or rumors beginning to float around, like, you know, of course, if DT exits stage left, the next step in this would be putting J.D. Vance into office as from vice president as to president. So I started tuning in with that, and you know, and there was stuff going on with J.D. and Murdoch and Wall Street Journal. I mean, it was all a whole mix of things, and I don't want to fixate on that. What I do want to report, and this is a report, and I have felt this for quite some time, J.D. Vance is the least of our worries. Mike Johnson is the one I'm concerned about. And I had this sinking feeling last night of like, I don't know that J.D. Vance would see the light of day in the office at all. Like, it almost feels like there's things in motion to deflect him. And Mike Johnson landing there, because Mike Johnson, he's already collected some power with the people he's been working with, right? And Mike Johnson is a yes man. You know, we've seen him do that, right? But even so, like, I don't want to put too much fear for us there, because even so, even if Mike Johnson did land, doesn't feel like the power holds for all that long. You know, but the main part of this message that I'm going to deliver to all of you is that we are used to certain processes working for us in our democracy, especially with the presidency, right? And the feeling I get from spirit world is like, there's been some change-ups. There's been some change-ups that you guys don't know about yet. And Dana, we need you to start talking about how things could potentially shift fairly rapidly in directions that we're not expecting at all. Now, will they give me the whole picture? No, we're going to have to live through it. But the feeling that I have, the overall message from spirit world is, do not do the if this, then that. That's not going to happen. We are off that playbook at this point. And the other thing I got to point out here, and people on TikTok have already been talking about this, DT is the placeholder for MAGA, right? And once he goes, those folks don't really have an emotional affiliation with really anybody else at that level. And so it all cracks apart. And I can feel Spirit Team saying that's the point. Because the power implosion, no one, even the people in places of power, no one can anticipate the type of power implosion that will begin to play out when or if DT crosses over. And I do believe that's what's going to happen. There's no legal way I think we're going to see him out of this office. I think there are health reasons that move him out of the office. And the feeling that I get from Spirit Team is the type of power implosion and things unraveling and coming out of control, like secrets start coming out. You saw in my energy forecast, like the Lilith Mercury thing, there's big secrets that are going to start coming out. You know, that all weighs into this as well. You begin to put that in a whirlwind cyclone kind of thing. That's when things start moving out of control faster than anybody else can expect. And that's what we need to be ready for, okay? And I'm just going to repeat one more time. There may be things, especially once we hit that August 1st mark, there may be things that begin to happen out of control that don't have anything to do with the progression of power as we know it in a democratic society, especially as it relates to a presidency. And can I predict what's going to happen? No, I can't, but I can see the storm. I can see the storm. And so we're going to be living through some stuff in August. And like I've always said, we begin to land the front end of September. Like it all gets crazy in August, and then we begin to land at the front end of September. My pendulum checks in the last couple of months has shown that the power begins to land back with the people at the front end of September. And I think that's what Spirit Team has been talking about. And there is one last piece of information that it's a memory, like it's a memory that's been kind of echoing back. And I've had these moments of like, oh yeah, I need to tell everybody about this. So here's the story. The story is way back in 2020, when the January 6th thing happened, that's when me and a lot of my psychic friends, we got together and we did this whole collective like, oh, let's pan back and look at the big picture for the progressives and the Democrats and the New Earth people. Let's pan back and let's look at the big picture and let's see where it gets the toughest and where we begin to come out of it. And at least from my checks, the checks that I could tell, is that 2020 was the mark where we begin to really, dip into it. Biden carried us for a little while. And my pendulum, when I panned way back, my pendulum always showed that 2025 was the big divot. That's where we went. And I always got this energy and this messaging of street fight, street fight, street fight. What are we in right now? We are in a gut level street fight with everything that's going on. And then what my pendulum showed is that by 2026, very short period of time, by 2026, we begin to come out of it a little bit. And 2027, a little bit more. And by 2028, we're standing on more solid ground again. So what I want you guys to know is like pan back, pan way back, like look at the 10-year continuum on this. And what you can do is mark that 2025, we do a great big old divot, right? And 2026, we're coming out, 2027, and then 2028, we're back up. I don't want to say a level playing field. We're back up in a new transformational place. So I'm bringing that to you as look at the long view. Look at the long view on this, and right now we are in the heat of the space of the transformation, the new light field, the new earth beginning to come on as the shadow world is working its shit out. And in August, we're headed into, I believe, the storm where it all unravels and we can see things and make decisions so we can begin to move forward again. So after all of that, I'm just check, dialing in, is there any other, I don't think there's any other information. I think I got all the information that I wanted to get to you at this point. And so, yeah, there you have it. I would love to hear what your take is on this, the experiences that you've been having, what you've been picking up on, so we can build a little bit of a collective field here of like what we see going on as we head into the end of July, beginning of August. So that's what I've got for you for now. Make sure you keep walking forward to meet those miracles along the way, and I will see you in my next video.